Cinema back, another dish. How we doing out there? Good, great, grand, and wonderful. As you see on your screen, your dial, however you are joining me today, I suppose I appreciate you. Like it while you can, because we are coming to a screeching halt. A screeching halt. And, you know, most people would sound sad. Not me. No, boy. I have fucking had it. This is too goddamn much. So if you have been listening to the last few shows, you would know that I think we're currently 4 deep into a 12-part box set series, because when a distributor is nice enough to send me some shit to look at and to promote on my show, I don't do box sets as a whole, because I find that to be fucking lazy. You know, do each film in the box set if someone is going to say, like this one. So this is Shaw Scope Shaw Brothers Collection Volume 1. The Shaw Scope Shaw Brothers Collection Volume 1. There's 12 films in it, along with a couple of soundtracks, great artwork, great bonus features, the whole 9 from Arrow Video. But I'm doing every single one because that's what you do. That's what you do. Now, whether or not I am giving you content that is worth a shit, I don't think so. I think that this is silly. I don't know if worry is even the right word anymore. I think if you'd have asked me 2 years ago, do I worry about the future of film, and I would have said yes. And in fact, I think I might have actually been a little late, actually, in feeling such things, because I don't see movies having the same impression that they did 5-10 years from now. And you could even make the argument that the impression that movies made on filmgoers, the audience, human beings of this earth, had already dwindled when I started this fucking podcast. So, you know, it's kind of a bummer for me, but at the same time, you know, you get a little older, you evolve, and the fact of the matter is, as much as I love movies, years ago I started drifting towards just doing other shit with my time, and not that you guys give a fuck about that, but, you know, like, I just question this podcast validity anymore. Unless I am having a guest on, I guess I just don't see the point of it anymore. And I know that, you know, there's a lot of people of the audience that, you know, are heavy sighing right now, because, you know, I know that there's quite a few of you that enjoy this show, and I appreciate you guys. I do. It's just, you know, do you like me as a person? Because if you do, you'll let me stop. If you really loved me, you would let me stop, okay? Because shit, man. You know, how many more of my relationships need to suffer because my workload is heavier than I can lift? And I can lift a lot. I can't. Anyway, it bums me out, but at the same time, I'm looking forward to bigger and better things, because, you know, unless you're working on a movie, sitting and talking about a movie just seems kind of like a waste, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Especially if, you know, I spent time watching the movie. I kind of, you know, constructed some of my thoughts, and now here we are, you know, like, yeah, that's a lot of time, ladies and gentlemen. And, like, I want to drift away from the screen, and I want to go back to pages. I used to read a lot growing up, and then I stopped, and now I'm reading a lot again, and I forgot. You know what? I love reading, man. Not everything's got to be about watching shit. However, I have watched so much shit this month. It's unreal. I haven't had a month like this in terms of viewing pleasure in quite some time. Anyway, the 5th installment of my Shaw Scope Shaw Brothers Collection Volume 1 is not a kung fu film at all. which is odd. And I only say odd, and I'm speaking to the folks of Arrow or anybody who has owned or is owners of this box set. Got a little question for you. A little weird to put the mighty Peking man in, is it not? That's what I'll be, kind of covering a little bit today. We'll see how I feel somewhere midway through this, but kind of an odd one to throw into the mix considering there are 12 films within the box set. All of them are kung fu movies with the exception of this one. Now, I would assume that they just kind of went by the year that they were released and their popularity when they were released. But at the same time, like, I don't know, just release this one by itself and put something else on the box set because it ruined my flow. It ruined my flow, what was the last one I did? Shaolin Temple. We go to Shaolin Temple to Utam, King of the Orangutans, the mighty Peking man, which translates to Gorilla King, Jing Wang, which translates to Gorilla King. I don't know that I needed that. I just went from seeing hand-to-hand. I just went from seeing tiger style and crane style and mantis style and ground tumbling boxing style, and now I'm watching a man in a suit in a movie that is doing its best King Kong rendition. Funny story, though. Funny story. The guy that actually did the practical effects and the suit and the makeup for this, Keizo Murase, Keizo Murase, everybody drink. But he also did the suits for old Godzilla, Mothra, Varan. I've never seen Varan, but I've seen Mothra and Godzilla. So, it plays as such, ladies and germs. So it's just a complete deviation from Five Shaolin Masters and Shaolin Temple, which, Shaolin Temple was the pseudo prequel to Five Shaolin Masters, and now I'm watching a man run around in a suit, and not even that much, no kung fu whatsoever, and hilarity in terms of the execution of the product. And so the Mighty Peking Man stars Evelyn Kraft, who plays Samantha Awe. They call her Awe, and they call the gorilla Awen. So you got Awe and Awen. Danny Lee, who plays Johnny Feng. Ku Feng as Lu Tian. Lin Wei-tu plays David Chen Shiyu. Norman Chu as Ah Long. Wu Hang Sheng, who plays Api. You got Ted Thomas, Steve Nicholson, Hsiao Yao, Chen Ping, Chi Ying Xiang, Chiang Chun, Qian Zhu Ying, Chin Chun, Chin Tian Chu, Alexander Gran, Huang Kung Wu, and Huang Pei Chi. And this was a film directed by Ho Meng-Hua, who he did roughly like 50 or so. Some of the ones that I had seen, what do we got here? The Dragon Missile, The Flying Guillotine, which is considered a classic, The Master of Kung Fu, Kiss of Death. So that is our director, Ho Meng-Hua. And then just a goddamn staple for or just cinema writing in general is Ni Kuang. I mean, I didn't look this up. I should have, now that I'm thinking about it off the top of my head. He's written 223 films, and he is still well, I shouldn't say he's still writing. He tapped out in about 2002, but still alive, still kicking. 225 films. So let me name some of these that are amongst my favorites that he's written. And dude, just listen to how many there are. Like you're good if I can rip off 10 films that I fucking liked of yours. 8 Diagram Pole Fighter, My Rebellious Son, 5 Elements Ninjas, one of my favorite kung fu films of all time. 5 Element Ninjas. House of Traps, widely respected in the kung fu crowd. The Brave Archer, Martial Club, which I fucking love, the Martial Club. The Masked Avengers, The Sword Stained with Royal Blood, Legend of the Fox, The Rebel Intruders, Return to the 36th Chamber, The Flag of Iron, which I will be doing later this year. The Master, Death Duel of Kung Fu. Oh my God. Mad Monkey Kung Fu. The Challenger, The Kid with the Golden Arm, one of my favorite Kung Fu films of all time. The Kung Fu Instructor with Tai Lung. I wonder if that'll be on one of the box sets. Heroes of the East, one of my favorite kung fu films of all time. Crippled Avengers, one of my favorite kung fu films of all time. Invisible Shaolin, one of my favorite kung fu films of all time. Dirty Kung Fu, one of my favorite kung fu films of all time. 5 Deadly Venoms, a cult classic amongst the goddamn world. The 36th Chamber of Shaolin. Blood Monkey Master. Okay, I think you guys get the point. 225 things. 200. That is a lot. I fucking blows my mind. Just like that's a writer, ladies and gentlemen. Starring Danny Lee, who has been in tons of shit. Probably most notable for me would be The Killer or City on Fire. The Killer, a John Woo film. If you haven't seen it yet, you lose. Evelyn Kraft, who played basically Tarzana. Not a whole lot of shit. She stopped acting around 81, but the only one of note that I actually saw her in was the French Sex Murders, which is kind of an Italian giallo classic, as they say. An interesting one in this is Yao Hsiao, still acting today, but has only been in a handful of things. Like I feel like he's the Dr. Dre of acting, minus the talent, because he's got this film career that starts in the early 70s, and then there's like 15 things between the early 70s and 2020. That's just kind of weird, right? No. Who else? Feng, Ku Feng. What has he been in that I absolutely... Oh, Martial Club. Yeah, for sure. Master of Kung Fu, Tiger Killer. Yeah, all of that. Give me all of that. Tsao Hui-Chi helped out with the cinematographer, did The Masked Avengers, Brave Archer and His Mate, House of Traps, Masked Avengers, I already said that. The Rebel Intruders, 2 Champions of Death, The Kid with the Golden Arm. So obviously, a lot of the Shaw Brothers crew working, there was up to like 3 or 4 films a year, or 3 or 4 films being filmed at the same time on the lots during Shaw Brothers' heyday, and that's fucking wild. And so you see a lot of the same crew members helping out here and there. So, I mean, what can I say about the Mighty Peking, man? I've already said that it's a man in a suit created by the same guy that did Godzilla and Mothra. I mean, it's King Kong goes to Hong Kong as a giant Himalayan beast tries to save a sexy Russia Tarzanette from a sleazy showbiz promoter. The action locations were set in India, and an interracial romance made Variety reach this verdict: high camp, Chinese style. So campy, but Chinese style. But a little bit more specific. Word of a monster ape, 10 stories tall, living in the Himalayas, reaches fortune hunters in Hong Kong. Fortune hunters, the greasy fucking... They travel to India to capture it, but wild animals and quicksand. Who wrote this synopsis? But wild animals and quicksand dissuade all but Johnny, an adventurer with a broken heart. An adventurer with a broken heart. Do you see where this is going? An adventurer with a broken heart. He finds the monster and discovers it's been raising a scantily clad woman. Samantha, a scantily clad woman named Samantha, a.k.a. Awe. Since she survived a plane crash years before that killed her parents. So the mighty Peking man, Utam, king of the orangutans, stepped up, and he didn't want to be a father figure, but he stepped up and did it. He wasn't prepared for it. He hadn't thought about having kids yet, but he was kind of forced into the position. What's he going to do with his girl? His parents, her parents' plane crashed, and what is he going to do? Just leave her there? Fuck, no. She doesn't know her way around, But, they really drive home the point that he wasn't ready to be a dad yet. He was thinking about it for a long time, torn. He was widowed, the mighty Peking man, so he didn't really want to move forward with a family and everything. Everything that I'm telling you right now is a lie. the Utam, the king of the orangutans, does not have an existential moment wondering if he should be a father or not. He doesn't. There's not a scene of contemplation where he's on like a cliff, near a waterfall, and he's like, should I be this child's father and mother? Because I told my wife that there's no illusion that the mighty Peking man has had a wife or died. None of that is accurate. But nevertheless, Utam, the mighty Peking man, takes care of Samantha with having mimosas. Sorry, takes care of Samantha, and becomes her father. Anyway. In the idyllic jungle, Johnny and Samantha fall in love. Would they not? Would they not? Samantha can't mate with a 10-story high gorilla. I am going to Homer GIF away from where my mind was trending. I'm the worst, dude. Fuck, I'm so immature. I'm a piece of garbage. Fuck. Anyway. Of course, Johnny and Samantha fall in love. She ain't never seen anything like that. She'd never seen a normal person before. Then Johnny, of course, uses his love for Samantha. Samantha, did you ever think about bringing Utam, the mighty Peking man, your father? Did you ever think about bringing him to the countryside, and maybe we can make $1 or $2. Have you ever thought about that, Samantha? Oh, you don't speak English? You don't speak a normal human dialect? Oh, well. So we're just gonna go ahead and we're gonna take your friend, the mighty Peking man, if that's all right. We're gonna take Utam with us, and we're gonna try to start a biz. We're gonna make some money, baby. Anyway, Johnny asks her to. This is funny. Johnny asks Samantha if she wouldn't mind talking to the 10-story high orangutan gorilla to see if he wouldn't mind coming countryside to make a few bucks. So Samantha's got to go try to convince this fucking 10-story ape to be under the spotlight with the elephants and the fucking clown car and shit. None of that happens. It is true that Johnny does ask Samantha to see if the ape will go countryside, but there's no clown cars or anything like that. Lutien, just a greasy promoter, ultimately takes over. Wouldn't you know it? Where do you think the orangutan, where do you think Utam, where do you think the mighty Peking man ends up if there's a greasy promoter involved? Well, if you guessed chains, you were right. If you guessed in chains, because, we're all afraid of what's different, but we don't necessarily want to kill it. Let's see if we can make a buck first. Utan is in chains for the freak show exhibitions. That's a hell of a freak show. I'm thinking the bearded lady. I'm thinking Gillman. I'm thinking fucking Fish Boy, and I'm thinking Shark Boy and Lava Girl. Wait a minute, that's not part of the exhibitions. That's a Robert Rodriguez film, is it not? Adorable that he made that for his kids, though, in his backyard. Respect. But yeah, so I don't know why part of the freak show expositions, because it's definitely just him. I mean, he's 10 stories tall. He is the circus. There's no room for anything else. Anyway, when Lu Tian insults Samantha, Utam's protective instincts take over. Because, of course, Utam's protective instincts take over, and wouldn't you know it, panic on the streets of Hong Kong, even though that's not the song. Anyway, well, of course, the greasy promoter's like, yeah. What the... Calm down, John. Yeah, why don't you take those clothes off, girl? Yeah. And of course she doesn't want to, but Utam somehow sees in this little... I think it actually happens on a boat, and he, like... it's kind of sad. But you know what? I digress. He responds to... Awe, Samantha. I'm only saying it like that. I think that's how Trey Parker said. Forget it. Anyway, he hears the screams. The mighty Peking man hears the screams of Samantha, and well, he gets very upset. George is getting upset, so he rips the chains, and then what is to come is basically any King Kong movie that you've seen. That's what happens. You got there was actually a sailing through the storm that was pretty epic, because you got to understand something about these old movies. Everything's practical. For instance, I watched a movie with my buddy yesterday. It was basically just an action epic from the late 80s, 89. And like, I had to remind him a couple times, like, bro, how this is real. That man is really on fire. That man literally just missed hitting his head on a moving car by inches. But backtrack a little bit. Mighty Peking man's no different. Everything that you're seeing is practical. Now, it may look a little cheese here and there, but like the storm that they sail through, I mean, those sets are real. That danger is very real. And I just wish we could go back to that. Let's make films unsafe again. Oh, we can't do that. I just caught myself. We can't do that because of Rust, right? With Alec Baldwin shot that blank. Where do you guys stand on that? DM me. I'm curious where you guys stand, which side of the fence you stand on that. Is it Alec Baldwin's fault, or is it the property master's fault? DM the show. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's tragic that a woman died, and I mean that genuinely. That's fucking tragic. But as far as where the fault is to blame, that's a tough one. That is a tough one. I don't know the answer to it. And I certainly wouldn't get political on this show. Even though I don't think it's too... I mean, you know where I lean, right? You know where I lean, right? Not to the... Well, I'll keep the mystique up. Maybe he is conservative. Ugh. Anyway, after Samantha was about to be about to be non-consensual, the ape goes ape shit, and wouldn't you know it, fucking he's smashing through the streets of Hong Kong. The gorilla's goddamn unhinged, and then we have our classic King Kong moments. I don't find this to be spoilers. If you've seen one King Kong movie, you kind of you can piece together the end, can you not, with the exception of the new ones. But the original King Kong, the one from the 70s, Peter Jackson's, is the same shit, right? Well, Mighty Peking man is no different. You got helicopters shooting at him while he's on top of the building. The only difference with this one is spoiler alert, and it's fun. It's not fun. It did look a little cheesy, and it's not fun. If you were really getting into the content, it's not fun. It's a sad scene, because I'm one of those people. I'm on Kong's side, right? Aren't we all? Don't we more lean towards Kong's side? They ripped him from his environment, and now they're trying to make him a dancing monkey. Oh, a dancing fucking monkey. And I side with the animals. I always side with the animals for the most part. You guys hear about that 500-pound bear just terrorizing home? Maybe it was in California or something. They're calling him Hank the Tank. It's a 500-pound bear. Don't kill that bear, please. Just fucking sedate him, pick his ass up, and take him back to which he came. Anywho, yeah, big fan of the pet, longtime pet guy here. But it ends with some pretty sick pyro all around, some pretty sick special effects and pyro all around. But the clincher, which I think separates it in terms of how it hurts my soul, a little bit more. The clincher is they set him on fire. And of course, like I had mentioned earlier in the show, this is all real shit. That is a man on fire in a suit. A real man on fire in the suit. Or maybe it was a lady, but I'm pretty positive it was a man, because this is the time where, we don't let ladies do anything but cook. No, calm down for anybody who's triggered. I'm saying this comes at a time. I'm not saying I agree with that. In fact, between me, you, and the ladies out there, I'd rather cook so you don't mess it up. I just know I'm fat and I like things a specific way. You don't need to cook, lady. I'll cook for you. How about that? That's fair, right? Anyway, no, this just comes at a time. I would assume, they didn't let a lady run around. And who would? What lady would be like, yeah, set me on fire, please? Anyway, so yeah, I thought the NC. I thought for the most part, like it's kind of like Variety said, it's high camp Hong Kong style, and I liked it. I liked it a lot, actually, mate. Well, let me rephrase that. For what it is, it's fun. It's just like it kind of reminds me, in a sense, more money, for sure. But it kind of reminds me of those Bill Grafé films that I did a couple months back. Like it, it's just. It's just kind of fun. It's escapism at its finest, or maybe not. Maybe it's escapism at its dullest. I don't know. You be the judge. Anyway, Shaw Brothers Collection, Volume 1. We are on the 5th installment, The Mighty Peking Man. This one comes with the uncompressed Mandarin and English audio. Uncompressed Mandarin and English original mono audio, newly translated English subtitles for the Mandarin audio, plus English for the hard of hearing subtitles. I'm so glad that we get some updated subtitles. If you know how I feel about the subtitles, listen to the last fucking show, because I'm not going over it again. Brand new commentary by Travis Crawford. Brand new interview with suit designer Keizo Murase. Keizo Murase. Filmed in 2021 by Daisuke Sato and Yoshikazu Ishii. Interview with the director of Mighty Peking Man, Ho Meng-Hua, filmed in 2003. Interview with the star, Feng, who was the villain, filmed in 2004. Behind the this one that was a little tough for me. I love the bonus features, but I don't like it when they have bonus features, and so you'll see this a lot, Arrow, MVD sometimes, where they have like old stock making of footage, but they weren't making ofs that were made specifically for the studio. So it's just like, a producer or somebody on set just running around with a camera. And the behind the scenes Super 8 footage from the archives of Keizo Murase, it's cool, like to see, I don't know, maybe the time and stuff, but it's like 28-30 minutes. No audio, no music. You're just seeing like just these random clips on set. It's not structured at all. Like I said, it's not like a made for the studio behind the scenes featurette. So sometimes with that, like I'm just looking at images. I'm just looking at images. I've already been sitting here. I've watched the movie by itself. I've watched the movie with the commentary, and now I'm just sitting here kind of in silence watching these images. So, much like the Shaolin Temple disc, it has the unrestored standard edition, standard definition version. So why do they put this on here? Well, that's very easy. So for something like this, when it's in standard definition and obviously it's in a little bit shittier quality, what do you think you may see less of? If you answered mistakes, you would be right. Probably a lot harder to see that zipper on the on the back of the suit in standard definition than it is, with a Blu-ray 1080. This one isn't updated from an original scan, so it's just a traditional 1080, but from a 4K scan. But it, I like that. In fact, I'm sure I've said it on the show before. I don't think that we should be remastering and re-releasing old horror films, 60s, 70s, 80s, maybe even early 90s on 4K. I don't need to see Evil Dead on 4K. I love Evil Dead. I'm not interested in seeing it in that light. It's not my thing. I would much rather see it gritty, shittier looking. Anyway, alternate opening credits from Goliathan, the U.S. version of The Mighty Peking Man, and you got some trailers and image galleries and on and on and on and on and on. We're done here. The Mighty fucking Peking Man. Worth it. I mean, if you're, especially if you're into Godzilla and Kong and Mothra and all that shit, definitely check this out. I mean, you wouldn't have the stuff that you're seeing nowadays if it weren't for this shit. Ellis Cinema. Bruh. Ellis Cinema, Shaw Scope. Volume 1, Shaw Scope. 5th installment, The Mighty Peking Man by Arrow Video. Available now. Ellis Cinema, Arrow Video, gone.